Hello, this is Brian J. signing on. Talking more about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power here. I just want to. There's an argument that people who are not Tolkien fans or who claim to be Tolkien fans, it's the argument they make, the argument of silence, right? So if Tolkien didn't say something, that means it happened, that it was there, or that the possibility was there. I'm like, no, that is the most idiotic, illogical argument you can make. So because Tolkien never wrote Galadriel used a sword and armor in whatever battle or war she was in the Second Age, or the First Age, whatever. So that means she used the sword and armor. No. Tolkien specifically wrote that Galadriel used magic. She was a mage build, like Elden Ring, like Dark Souls. That's how Tolkien wrote her in his books. She didn't use a sword and armor like Xena. Tolkien never wrote that. So they shouldn't put that in the show since Tolkien never wrote that, but they're doing it anyway because Amazon, the showrunners, want to do their own thing. They don't want to follow Tolkien, not completely. They want to do their own thing. But that's the wrong way to do an adaptation. It's like, oh, because Tolkien didn't say it means we should put it in there. I'm like, well, Tolkien never wrote cell phones. He never wrote iPads. Should we put that in there too? Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I want to see an adaptation of Lord of the Rings with Sauron, doing some battle rapping shit against Frodo through the One Ring on Zoom. I want Sauron to be on Zoom doing some battle rap video against Frodo or the Fellowship or something. You get how stupid that sounds? It's so stupid. Even though that would be funny, I wouldn't mind seeing a fan film who would do something that's silly. But that's a fan film. That's not canon. No, if Tolkien didn't wrote it, then don't put it in there. And I'm not just being a purist. It's like that's making a faithful adaptation or something close to it. Don't put it in there. Right? Dogs are not allowed. When Stan Lee had the Infinity Gauntlet story written, in Infinity War, when the Russo brothers and Marvel, the MCU, adapted it for Infinity War, a good portion of that story, they didn't put in like abilities and stuff that Thanos didn't have in the comic book. The abilities he had in the comic book are there in the movie. They didn't just add stuff. But, those are just my thoughts. You don't see them doing this for House of the Dragon, them adding stuff that wasn't in the book. The only thing they're changing is some of the relationships. But in Fire and Blood book, Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen used to get along. They were kind of close. Alicent Hightower called her daughter because Alicent married Rhaenyra's father. So George R. R. Martin did kind of imply that they were close at first before they became rivals, before they became enemies. But the show is expanding on that, making them more like sisters, making it more closer. And before you see the fall in the second half of the first season. I like that. That's an expansion, but it's also still being somewhat faithful to what George R. R. Martin did. I just do not like what they're doing with Rings of Power, and these are my thoughts. This is Brian J. signing off for now.